Hey folks, as promised, we are going to complete that Module 1 activity. So let me just take you to the place where this is going to be. This is going to be several different videos, probably at least 2 videos, maybe 3 videos. This is the assignment that I'm going to be working on here. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm going to work all the way through to through section 3.1, and then I'll have one more video for sure with section 3.2. And it's possible I might have a third video, but anyway, so bear with me. So this will be section 3.1 for Module 3. This is the Office CMAP 1685 or 1680, and we're working on the Word Module 3. Okay, so this is what this looks like. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time showing you the instructions here. I'm going to assume you have your book with you, but this is what we're working on right now. For some of you, you've already completed this part. If so, you can move on to section 3.2 video. I am going to stay mostly in the Microsoft Word document, and I'll let you know which page number I'm working on. So there's the page number. So as you listen to the video periodically when I flip the pages, I'll tell you which page I'm on and which step. And by step, I mean the number in the box that's listed here. So again, once I launch into Word, I'm probably not going to spend a whole lot of time in the other spot. So I'm going to open up the new document and get started. Okay. Onward. Okay, so here's my new document. Maybe. Alright, so it's my new document. I'm going to choose File, Save As. Okay, saving my document as MRH New Classes. Save that. And I've got my document. Okay, so again, I'm on page WD122. Steps 1 and 2 are completed. I'm moving over onto step 4 on page 123, WD123. I'm going to press the Control key of the F key. I'm going to go to the Headings link. And so the Headings link lists all these different headings that are available here. And in step 6 at the bottom of page 123, click on the recommended classes, and it automatically takes me to that section on the right-hand side here. And then if you click on the Paying for Classes, Paying for the New Programming, rather, it takes you to that section. And you can also collapse these little triangles. Okay? And if I collapse the one next to the Paying for New Programming, it disappears. Okay, in the navigation pane anyway. So we want to expand those and see all of those things on page 124, page 9. And it's showing you an image of that there in figure 3.2. So at the bottom of page 124, right-click on the Anticipated Purchases heading and click on the Promote option, and then that moves it up. So in the navigation pane, step 3 on page 124, click and drag Anticipated Purchases, and you can, in step 4, position the guideline directly below the Paying for New Programming. So right there, you can see the guideline. And if you let go, it flips the entire section within your document as well. If you look on the right-hand side over here, you can begin to see all that. So there's a list of that on page 125. There's a picture. If you go to step 6 at the bottom of page 125, it says to click anywhere in the document to deselect the text, and okay, you should be good to go. Page 126. We're at the bottom of page 126. In the navigation pane, click the recommended classes, and that takes you to that heading in your document window. So that's step 1. In the document window, this is step 2, place the mouse pointer over the recommended classes heading to display the gray collapse button on the left of the heading. Okay? You can kind of see that there. Point on the gray collapse button and it turns blue, and then click it. And now it's hidden the whole paragraph. It's still there, but it's gone from view. So in the recommended classes in the document, select the recommended classes heading, including the paragraph mark. So make sure it's hidden like this. And we want to make sure our paragraph mark is on. So if I highlight all of that stuff, and if I click and drag that heading down, so I'm going to actually turn this one off as well, just like it shows in the picture. And I can actually move that thing down just a little bit. So I'll move it below this one. And so it basically, what they're trying to show you here is that you can move these things around. I don't actually do this very much. In fact, I've never done this for real, except in this class. So kind of keep that in mind. I think most of us are pretty comfortable with cutting and copying and pasting, but moving things this way is an option. So save your work, and we're going to insert a blank table. So I'm on page 128. So on page 128, you look at the picture at the top, the table sketch in figure 3.6. It gives you an idea of what a table actually looks like. You're probably familiar with that. So in the navigation group on the left-hand side, we want to click on the probable expenditures. So if we click on probable expenditures, it takes you all the way to the bottom of that, the document, but at the beginning of the probable expenditures. And we want to close the navigation pane over here, step 2, and we're going to make sure that the probable expenditure shows up on a line or on a page all by itself. So you can press the Control and the Enter keys like it says on step 2 on page 128. So Control and Enter. The other way to do that is, I believe you can go to the breaks and you can insert a page break here under page layout. So either way works. What we're trying to do is we're trying to set this up on a page all by itself. So we want to go all the way to the bottom of the document now, okay, which is beneath the probable expenditures paragraph, so right here. And we want to click on the Insert tab in the ribbon. And once you're there, we want to find the Tables button, and an option comes up to design your table. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a table. So you don't know how many things are going to be here, so let's look at the book and see what they want us to do. So they want us to choose, let's just decide on a 2x4 table. Okay, so we're going to have 2 columns and 4 rows. Okay, so 2 columns and 4 rows. And if you have too many, that's fine. Okay, so I'm moving over to page 130. We're going to enter information in the header row of the table. So in the header row, the top row, we're going to type the word class. We're going to type tab, and then we're going to type facility cost, and then tab as well. And it takes you down to the next line. Okay? So the tab moves you. You can mouse if you want to, if that's helpful. So they want you to type swimming, press the tab key. I'm on step 1 in the middle of page 130. And then I'm going to type 7,500. I'm going to press the tab key. Cooking and nutrition. Press the tab key. 3,500. Press the tab key again. Adult Fitness, tab key, $750. Okay, so our table's filled. So that's both the first steps in on page 130. But now we want to add a row to the table. So notice that my insertion point is blinking at the very end of this $750, which is the last line of the table. So the way that you get another row in your table at the bottom of page 130 is just to press the tab key, and it brings you up to a new line in your, or new row in your table. And in this one, we're going to type diabetes prevention, press the tab key, and this time it's going to be $400. Okay, so that matches the image in page 131 in your book. So if you happen to have an extra, because you hit that enter key, you can press the undo button, and sometimes that's pretty helpful. The other thing you can do is, if you hit that enter key, actually this is what happens. So you get an extra line in that column of the table. So if you backspace, if you press tab, that's when you would get the new row. Undo. And there's other ways you can monkey with that too. So at the bottom of page 131, it talks about selecting a part of a table. You might want to read through that because sometimes these tables get a little confusing. I'm going to skip over page 131 just to get you through this video more quickly. If you have more questions, we can talk about that in class. Keep in mind, if you turn the show hide paragraph marks on and off, the table becomes a little less crazy. So just keep that in mind. So I'm at the top of page 132. So they want you to position the mouse pointer on the selection bar to the left of the header row. So the header row is your top row. And you can see that when I'm in the selection bar on the left-hand side, I get that kind of upper right-facing arrow that's hollow. It's white. And when I click it, it highlights that whole entire first row, just like you see in the picture. I want to bold this, so I press Control B, or you could pick the bold button. Oh, the rest of the class is here. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Matt.
How's it going?
Very good. I am ready for today's class on automotive.
Awesome. Well, do you have your bucket?
Yes, I have my bucket, my rack, and everything for it.
Awesome. That's great. What kind of lubricant are you using in your car this time? Okay, so we've got our bold there completed on page 132, step 3. And step 4 says click anywhere in the table to deselect the header row. So there's the header row. And then save your document. So just save your document. And then moving on to page 133, sort the information in the table. So make sure the insertion point is located somewhere in the table. So you don't need to be anywhere particular, but on the ribbon, you need to go step 2, page 133, the layout tab in the ribbon. In the data group, so we need to find the data group, which is over here, and then find the sort button. And when you click the sort button, a new panel comes up. And in this panel, we're going to, by default, it shows up as class. So let's make this so you can see. So there's the class, and there's the facility cost. So it kind of knows that what those two first cells are, which are your headers. And we want to sort by facility cost. Okay? So that's step 4 on page 134. And we want that to be ascending. And we want to make sure that it says that it's a number. And when you click OK, watch what happens to your table up here. So it flips it all around. And if you look on page 134, figure 312, it shows you what you should see in your table. So save that work. And then on page 135, we're going to insert rows and columns. So to start with, we're going to do a new column. So make sure the insertion point is somewhere in the table. Okay, doesn't matter where. Make sure the mouse pointer is at the top of the table so that it points to the border between two columns. And you can kind of see that little plus sign there. Shows you what that plus sign looks like in your book on step 2. We want to click on the add column. So I just click on the little plus sign and it automatically puts that column in there. And then this time we want to type these cells. Personnel cost. And then I'm going to use the down arrow key. You can easily use your mouse if you want to. I generally do a mixture of both. So either way is fine. Doesn't really matter. Personal preference. I think if you find yourself doing something repeatedly, you're probably going to want to find a keyboard shortcut for it. But that's just me. Okay, so that's all the stuff that was on step 4 on page 135. Check your work on page 136. Shows you what that should look like. On page 136 at the bottom, we're going to delete the diabetes prevention row. Okay, so they want you to delete this one. So in the cell containing the text adult fitness, okay, so actually, in the cell containing the text adult fitness, click to the right of the final S, press the space bar, and then type and diabetes prevention. Okay. And now we can delete that diabetes row. Okay. So I get into the bar there, and I can delete the row. So that's steps 2 and 3. On page 137, says step 5 says to save your work. And now we need to change the width of some of these columns because it's a little bit wonky here. Like there's a lot of white space here, a lot of white space over here. So we're going to fix this up a little bit. So one of the things you can do here is you can get a split cursor like this. And you can simply double click it. And it begins to try to resort these things for you. And it may or may not work, just depends. So if I make that a little bit larger, make that one a little bit larger, you can begin to see I'm just kind of finessing these things into place. I'm trying to make sure that this isn't too crowded. That's about the same, that's about the same. So really what you're looking for is to try to make it look good. And that table looks pretty good to me. You could follow all the instructions and use people's numbers, but the problem with following things too precisely is that you run the risk of it not looking good. So make sure it looks good. Makes sense, right? Okay, page 139. We want to apply a table style to the probable expenditures table. So click anywhere in this table, doesn't matter where. On the ribbon, click the Table Tools Design tab, and then there's this little More button here. So if you see this arrow with this line on it, and you click on that, and then you can begin to pick one of these. Behind this panel it's actually altering that table, so you can actually see all the changes that are being made. It's suggesting that you use the fourth green style. Fourth green style. I don't really care which one you pick. Pick one. Sure, that looks great. So let's see what that one is. Grid Table 4, Accent 6. Hey, I picked right. So that's the one the book suggested, so I'll stick with that. So we're gonna remove the bold formatting from the first column. So in the Table Styles Options group, click the first column here. Okay? And it deselects that. So it just removed that bold formatting from it. And if you look at the image on page 141, mine is looking pretty darn similar to theirs. And if I were to take out Show Hide Paragraph Marks, you can begin to see a little bit better of how that is actually going to look. So save your work. Bottom of page 141, we're going to experiment with this in the Table Tools Style group. Okay, so here's the Table Tools Styles group. Click on the More button. And then you can that's not really where I wanted to be. Let's go over to the Layout tab in the ribbon. And here's where you can choose some other things. There's all sorts of other options here. On the ribbon, you can click, in the table group, click on the View Grid Lines, so that's over here. And you can begin to see grid lines potentially, where that's going to go. Okay. I'm not even going to do that because I don't like that. And then on page 142, they go into the border painter, and I am really not that interested in having you do this. But if you come into the table and you click on this little four-way arrow at the upper left, there are other different options that you can get into that are here. So here's a format painter, and there's various other things that you can use here. And if I go to the Table Tools Design, there's shading, there's a border painter there that you can use, and this allows you to really custom tailor this table. I really think that this is over the top and not necessary. So that's basically what this table should be looking like at this point. And that's the end of section 3.1, and that ends on page 143. So the next video will pick up on page 144. Okay? So check back with us.